All right, guys, we're here in the Miami airport. What better place to vlog this podcast than in the Miami airport? But I'm with literally one of my best friends, somebody who's played a great deal of a piece in my life as a coach, Bob Rittberger, who played for, I want to pronounce this correctly, the Ohio State University back when, played professionally golf for a long time, 20 years, had pro experience at the private club sector, and my assistant golf instructor now. And we were kind of traveling all around the globe and wanting to bring different content, different ways to look at specific golf shots to the everyday golfer. So, Bob, with that, welcome to the channel.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So here's where I want to start. What are common themes that we see in the average regular day player that can help them get better at golf without having to necessarily sit on a range or in a studio banging balls and hoping that they improve? What are pieces that you think people can learn from us that would make them better quicker than maybe they may think prior to watching this video?
Well, I think the one thing that we see daily is that people don't set up the same way.
Right.
They don't set up the same way. They don't put the ball in the same location, and those things alone are things that impact everything else that they do.
Right.
And we're talking about people that don't spend 50 hours a week practicing and hitting balls. I mean,
Right.
If they spend 50 minutes a week, that would be a lot for us. You know, we're people that do spend a little more time than that, and we still don't do it the same way every time.
Golf's hard.
Golf is hard. And I think that's, if we could impose one thing on those listening to the channel today, that would be, I think, something that people could take with them. And everybody can do it.
Right.
Everybody can set up. You can set up. You can put the ball in the right location. Those aren't things that require tremendous athletic ability.
Well, to capitalize on that, or piggyback on that, I would say a lot of the swing flaws that we see stem from setup.
I 100% agree with that.
Right, and I think playing a golf course that we played today and zipped around is, you can see in our routine, and people will see it when we go live with that last experience, is the routine that was talked about so often. Right, routine from grip pressure, routine from how to get into the setup, routine from what specific type of shot that we see. How about putting? Let's talk putting for a minute. What do we see? Because here's one of the things that annoys me is people for some reason attach putting as a simple technique until it's not. And I think largely because it's such a small motion that, or you know what I get often? I need to drive the ball well before I worry about my putting. And in reality, it's all connected. So what I would ask you is to piggyback what we talked about earlier today on how you warm up the way that you do and why you warm up that way.
Well, I think that as we talked on the green this morning, that the importance of feel, speed control, those are things that are vital to being a good putter. Not only being a good putter, but eliminating three putts, which most of the people that we see and coach, that is the biggest thing that they run into, is they end up three putting.
So how about, what's the contributing factor to your club level golfer on why their pace may be off and how they can work on making their pace better? What are contributing factors that you see in your coaching?
I think one of the biggest things is people don't make solid contact.
So center face contact.
Center face contact. And you can dive into a number of different areas with that, but the bottom line is if you don't make center face contact, you don't know how fast the ball is going to come off. You don't know how far the ball is going to roll. It doesn't matter if you have a good routine, or good rhythm, good tempo, good pace. The ball's coming off of the heel or the toe, it's not coming off the same, and it's not going to travel the same. And those are the key things that make, controlling your distance in putting vital.
And now when you putt, because this is a fun question I see a lot, and it's controversial to some degree, but what are you doing to control your distances? So what are you doing differently from 10 to 30 feet, or from 15 to 40 feet? How does your brain compute the different distance, and how do you practice that?
Well, I think, like we showed in the routine this morning, a lot of it is a feel. Now, you and myself were slightly higher level, so we're counting on making the same contact every time. So we expect the ball to come off the face the same speed. So we have an idea of what that's going to take place. But practicing, distance drills, and to be quite honest, it's a feel. Right. It's really not something you control, or it's something that it is a feel. It is a pace thing. The distance control in putting is length of stroke, pace of stroke. Those are the two key factors, and centerness and hit. Right. So those are the really three key factors.
So what I would add on that, and I want everyone to hear this, you will not, and I'm curious what you take it, you will not be a great putter if you have a caddy read your putts. I think it's okay to have a caddy validate your thinking, but if you don't see the pace of the putt, if you don't see what line that pace of the putt is taking, I think you're limiting who you're going to be every time. So for example, I have these two guys that are dear friends of mine that they play all the time, and the caddy will go 80% or 60% or 110%. And I looked at him one day and said, what the hell are you talking about?
I would question that one too.
Right? What are you talking about? Oh, well, zero's flat. And my whole point to you, I think what you just hit on that's gold is, it is, at the end of the day, it's a field sport. At the end of the day, it's a field sport. I think educating these hands is incredible. You're not taking the hands out of a stroke. Nope. This is where the sense is coming from. Now, yes, we don't want to have a stroke that adds a tremendous amount of loft or de-lofts it a bunch. We want to have a ball position that makes sense. We want to have our setup, our shoulder lines and our eye lines and all that. Correct. There's no question. But at the end of the day, what you put in is what you're going to get out, like everything. And what I love, and I quite frankly I never did or heard, is warming up not looking at a hole, or not putting to a hole, but putting to the fringe or putting to a spot. And I like that because it gets out the make-miss mindset. And I think we can talk all day of how far back you go and how far through you go. And I think it's good for a generalized piece. Maybe you're practicing your pace, but at the end of the day, your eyes and your body and your hands have to calibrate this, right? And the only way to truly do that is by practicing. Now that Dave Peltz and other great coaches have talked about drills and scenarios, but you're never gonna match the intensity of, maybe for us it's a tournament, maybe for every amateur out there it's just on the golf course playing with their buddies, maybe it's their own pressure they put, but it's not on the putting green, right? It's hard to simulate game speed.
Interestingly enough, for the regular player, you don't even need a putter to practice this. You can the arm motion, the motion that your body should make, is the same as if you were to stand facing the ball and roll and try to roll the ball with whatever your trail hand would be, whether you're a lefty or righty player. That's the same pace and motion that you would want to have when you put both hands on the putter. That's a way to practice the feel part of it. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to make solid contact, have the face
but
fair.
It's a skill.
But it's
putting.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a skill of putting. And I think in the world that we live in now, the Instagram immediate world, is people want to generalize things. And there's a list of skills. How good are you at returning the putter back at impact? How good are you at center of contact? How good are you being able to feel down this slope or hit it up that slope? So I do think there's the technical aspect that's important, but that's phase 3, right? If you can't have the depth perception and the feel and the awareness to hit a 10-footer, a 15-footer, a 20-footer, uphill, downhill, side tilted hills, you should not be worrying about making this quote-unquote perfect stroke. Now, does one play into it? Sure, but you need to be able to get it to a certain point. So my next question to you is, can you be a great chipper if you're not a good putter? That's a loaded one.
There's a lot of ways you can go with that one. I think yes, you can.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of fixed things you can do to be a great chipper,
Right.
as far as controlling contact.
So what I would say to that, I think they're all connected, right? So Operation 36 is one of my favorite junior programs. And the idea is, can you shoot par from 20 yards off the green, from 50 yards, right? And you get these kids into the game in there. And I think adults and every golfer can learn from this. So what I would say today, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, we've seen it, right? We've seen some of the best wedge players, and they have yips in putting, or vice versa, right?
There's people that are great putters that have horrible strokes. We talked about that earlier today.
That's right. So, but what I would say to the audience is, if you can become a decent bunker player, a decent putter, and a decent 30 yards and in around the greens, you're probably going to make other aspects of your swing better, right? Because until you learn how to swing the club head that's on the stick, until you learn how to create a swing on that, until you learn how to attach it with a pivot, until you learn the roll of the hands, you should not be worried about how you hit a driver, right?
You agree 100%.
Right, and when you look back and you talk to tour players or players like yourself, the awareness of the club face is huge. So the best place to start to learn it is close to the green and work your way back, right? And then you start adding it. And I think whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in different sports, there's infinity amount of skills to master the sport, right? We know this will never be mastered, but the word mastery is always something that I try to put into my students. Now, my mastery and yours are different definitions, but if you're looking to master this is a lifelong pursuit to master this, right? You're not looking to be Luke Donald in his prime with a putter day one, but you're looking to create skills that will lead you there. The same thing on the driver, the same thing on an iron, the same thing with your wedges. And so the purpose of this whole podcast here is, what can the average golfer do? How do we inspire and motivate the golfers to buy into the short game more? Because the short game is the gateway to a better iron game. The iron game is the gateway to a better hybrid and fairway and so on and so forth, right? But number two is, how do we make it more fun to practice these things? Because if you don't practice, no matter how great of a coach you have in your corner, you're not going to get better, right? And so I think a few things I love that I would highlight that you said today was, first off, in your warm-up, getting your mind, getting your stroke right, getting your tempo right, getting the feel of the speeds of the greens. Fantastic. Take the hole out. Don't let that be success for not success. I loved the multitude of wedge shots that you and I hit today that talked about. So getting out of the world of saying, oh, just grab your 54 and walk right to next to the green, or grab your 60, walk next to the green. We want to take a moment and try to be a little bit more artistry and learn these shots and learn the lies and learn these pieces. And when I watch you play, and Adrian, that was our caddy, Adrian saw it from the first tee, and he saw that there wasn't you trying to be perfect, it was you trying to hit a shot, and you rehearsing that shot, and you brushing the ground to hit that shot, and then you giving your best to execute that shot. Where I think the average player is trying to be perfect on every shot.
Expecting to be perfect.
And expecting to be perfect, right? And I think to close on this is I guess my question is this: how can they practice? How should they practice to get more out of their time? They have 30 minutes to go to a short game area. I assume they even have a short game area to practice at, which we hope you do. What can they do? I'm curious on what some drills are that you like in your practice.
Well, I think the first thing that any regular golfer can do is learn a base shot. A base shot. Ball in the middle of their stance, shaft neutral, pivot back, pivot forward, make good contact, see that flight, see that trajectory.
And give me your definition real quick on bait. To me, that's stock. But what is you're saying? The one that you just know, you practice it enough.
You know you're going to make the same contact.
Right.
You know, so if you just need, and if we could get our students to just think this way rather than try to hit the 1 out of 10 shot,
right,
they can get the ball on the green 8-10 feet away. You've got a chance to make an 8, 10, 12, 15 footer,
right,
rather than trying to hit a shot that really they're probably not capable of, won't pull off,
once they never practice,
and then they're going to have to chip it again.
Right.
So I like to see my students develop and build a base motion, learn what that is, and know that anytime that no matter what their situation is, no matter what the lie is, they can go to that. Even if they have to aim away from the hole to get it on the green.
100%.
But that's a hard thing to get our students to.
So, just to touch on that, if you think about it from common sense for a moment, which is not so common on a golf course. Some of the smartest people we look at, why would you hit a shot that you've never practiced? And then why would you attach an expectation to the shot that you've never practiced? But we see it all the time. See, you see some of the most successful CEOs on the planet that we teach or hang out with, they're trying to flop it over a and you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so to that point, I think it's brilliant. Is again, it's common sense as it sounds. It's not so common. Hit the shot that you know you can execute. Hit the shot that you know you have a good chance at giving yourself a 10, 12 footer. Right? Play the percentages. Play the odds.
Learn to play with no variables, and then start to add your variables.
So what I would add to that from my standpoint, both as a player and as a coach, I think block practice and non-block practice is important. So for those of you who don't know what block practice is technique driven. You don't care where the ball goes. You're looking at hitting a specific shot or a specific position, and that's the technique driven, and that's great. That's great for the winter. It's important. Yeah. But then once you have a technique, throw a bunch of damn balls in the air and practice hitting them off different crazy lies. Imagination is key, and for those parents out there who have kids that are playing, train the imagination. The artistry of this is so much fun. And at a certain age, it starts to show if you have it or don't have it. And so,
I think to piggyback on that, especially for the kids,
yeah,
when you spread your balls out, don't touch them.
That's right.
Don't touch them.
That's right.
Read the lie, because half of developing a great short game is learning how to read. It's like not unlike reading a green.
And using the wedge.
Right. But learn to read the lie, and the only way you can do that is. Because you're never going to have the same lie twice.
Well, and I think it's something that no one talks about is being educated enough to know how the ball is going to respond out of a lie.
It's a guess.
Right, but it's an educated guess, the better of the player that you get, right? And you see it on tour. You see sometimes the guy looks baffled how the ball goes, but it's rare. It's rare. So I think you should have random, and I think you should have block. Right, and they both serve a purpose, and they should not be in the same practice session. Theoretically, like Tuesday, Thursdays would be more technique specific. Monday, Wednesday would be more. Hey, let me play. How many times do I get this up and down? Let me plug a ball in the bunker. Let me throw it on the other side of the bunker. Let me hit one off a tight line. Let me hit off one in a rough, because I think that's important. One that I really like for golfers is you can lay. Even in the backyard, I did this well before I spent all the money in my backyard, is every 5 yards put another alignment rod, right? And you create almost these boxes, and you practice that. So like when I was growing up as a kid, Michael Hebron, shout out to Michael again, is he would stack literally 3 wooden benches on top of each other, boom, boom, boom. And he didn't care where the ball went, he wanted me to hit through the gaps. So if I wanted to hit a low one, I could use a 9-iron, 8-iron. If I had to hit a mid one, I would maybe hit square face, slightly open, 56. If I wanted to go up, I had to open the face, lower the hand. And without knowing what did what, I started figuring it out. So the point of this whole video here sitting with us, and we'll do much more of these, is short game. And if you can make short game, I know it's not as sexy for some people. I know people think driver's their issue, but they're all connected. They're truly all. If I can release a face out of a bunker, I can release a face with a driver, right? If I have a path that I rip it inside and I swing over the top, if I just hit 100 sandwiches a day, that's probably going to beat out of my system. If I start learning grips and how important the grip is in connecting my body and my club face together, these are all skills that lead up through the bag. It's not, I need a driver lesson. I need an 8-iron lesson today. No. You need to learn the game. You need to learn the game, and I think that's important. So,
how many times we try to tell our students the percentage of shots you hit with a driver in a round of golf is very small. I mean, if you're playing a regular golf course, par 72, you're hitting it 14 times, maybe. maybe.
Yeah, and I know the guy that would play devil's advocate on that. I'll go tomorrow morning, wake up, and probably have one of them, right? And the guy will be like, no, but I stink with a driver, right? I'm losing all my. Yeah, you do, but guess what? You also stink with a 9-iron. You just don't realize it because a 9-iron's easier to hit, right? And it's so funny because these sports psychiatrists kind of play these conversations often, and they'll say, what's the best part of the game? What's the worst part of the game? And it's always the driver's the worst. Meanwhile, they'll look back and say, oh, you missed the fairway by 5 yards every time, but your up and down percentage was horrendous.
And 3-putted 11 times.
Right, or 3-putted 11 times. Right, and so what I would say is you want full game improvement. That's always how we coach. That's how we want our students to look at it. And like anything else, if you're building a house, whatever it is. If my daughter is in first grade, she's not learning 5th grade right now. The skills that she learns in first grade, the skills that she learns in 2nd grade, and so on and so forth, prepare her for high school, prepare her for college, prepare her for math, whatever it is. There's a process to learning and taking in information. And if you're a 20 handicapper and you're taking a lesson like a 3 handicap, we have a problem. And if you're a 3 handicapper taking a lesson like a 20, we have a problem. There's phases to this, and how the information is digested and applied matter. And then what I would leave everybody with is, if you take a lesson, your job is to practice the damn lesson.
Yes.
And it's okay to have a few of the same lessons, as long as you're chipping away at it, right? Like we talked, even you when you play competitively, or when we're working on your own thing, we might be working on the same thing for 12 months. Hell, we're working on the same thing for 2 years, and that's okay. It's a better version of it, but we're working on it. And I think too many times the students like, oh man, how don't I have it by now? It's 10 days later.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, no, this takes time to perfect. And when it's perfected, not just understood, but perfected, once you have it as a skill, not a rented, not a lease, once you have it owned, then you have a golf game that's going to start to last a lifetime. So with that, thank you, my friend.
Joe, thank you.
Back to New York, and we shall do it again.
We look forward to it.